Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. And we finally have ChasePlane coming to the simulator. For those of you who don't know, stick around. We'll talk about what that's all about, but it's a big deal, as well as some updates from FS2 Crew and a new release for the Mirage. If you are interested in any of my tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future guides that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. All right, you guys. So first up on the list, we have Justflight's Hawk T1A version 2 is getting ready to hit the simulator. Now, they didn't give a whole lot of details as to what version 2 actually is, but they promised that it would make flight simmers extremely happy as it flies significantly closer to the real-world aircraft. They said the new flight modeling, as well as new liveries and features with the aircraft, will be available upon version 2's release. Now, they didn't say when version 2 would be released, but they did state that it will be around very soon. It's actually kind of a surprising one for me, given the fact that I own the Justflight T1, and I actually think it's a really good aircraft. It's a lot of fun to fly, flew very, very smooth and easy, so I'm really curious to see what version 2 is going to bring to the simulator that Justflight states is going to make all the simmers very happy. Stay tuned for more. Builds and Miltech have released their M2KC, or the Mirage 2000 Charlie. This aircraft was developed back in the 1970s. It's an incredibly maneuverable and very nimble fighter. It was designed as an interceptor for the French and has proven itself to still be in service today, if memory serves. The aircraft is an absolute phenomenon in DCS world, so I can't imagine that it would be any less in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You do have some simulated weapon systems, a fully navigationally operated INS system that allows you to use a special INS website link that can be found in the Miltech links that will allow you to use the native INS system to make your flight plans, which would be a lot of fun. That's something completely different from any other aircraft that we've seen yet, at least for me. So you'll basically be flying it the way the real pilots flew it in the aircraft. The Mirage is pretty hot. You're also going to have semi-simulated weapon systems inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator. They stated that they were going to be simulating weapon system tracking, meaning that when you launch a missile off the rails, that it would simulate tracking. So I don't know if that means that you can track a friend or another aircraft or how that works. Same thing with the gun. You are going to be able to use the gun as well. Obviously, no damage models. It doesn't exist inside the sim. But you'll be able to spray some rounds off and at least make it look pretty cool. And there's the missiles that we were talking about, simulating some tracking, but I don't know that it's actually tracking anything in particular. They weren't very specific on that in the release notes. But again, a very fun aircraft, you guys, and you can pick this up on either Builds or the Miltech website for $29.99. So certainly a fair price for the aircraft if these kind of fighter jets are your thing. Personally, I stick to DCS world when it comes to the fighter jets, but that's not everybody's cup of tea. And it's certainly a nice complement to things like the F-18 Hornet, where you guys could fly in some sort of simulated dogfight that could be kind of fun as well. So let's go ahead and move on. Coming close now to our main event, though, we are now up to FS2 Crew and its compatibility with the PMDG 777 SOP1. So, what is FS2 Crew? It simulates either a pilot or first officer experience inside the cockpit, giving you voice, button, or auto response control of the simulator. The first officer, for in this case, as I'm sure most of us will use, will follow the first officer checklist, as well as giving you voice check commands. So, for example, landing gear, you would say check, lights, check, etc. Things like that as an example. Now, they follow the standard Boeing SOP. What this means is that they're not using any particular airline operations, but the SOP or standard operating procedures are coming directly from Boeing. As you guys know, or hope you know, if you don't know, you're about to know, airliners such as, for example, I'm just throwing any names out here. We have Southwest, Delta, United, whoever it may be. When they fly their aircraft, they take the standard operating procedures from Boeing, but then they may change things up to better suit their company and their requirements. Some require a more in-depth procedures for flying the aircraft. Some may require some steps to be removed or find some steps not to be necessary. So when I say that we are following the Boeing procedure is directly out of Boeing and not following any particular airline. Now, some of the other features, again, as we talked about, you have voice activation. So you can actually tell your first officer, an example would be on the takeoff roll, your wheels up, you would actually say those words, positive rate, wheels up. You could actually say flaps 5. You could actually say flaps 1. And that action will be actually injected into the simulator, requiring you to do less work. Given my love for the PMDG 777, I am going to be picking this one up. So if you guys want a full-scale example, stay tuned for the channel later this week. Probably this weekend, we'll be giving this one a shot. I haven't tried FS2 Crew in a very long time, but I remember the last time I was very, very impressed with it. I believe that was with the fly-by-wire A320. But with the PMDG and my knowledge of the 737s or the Boeing series of aircraft, given the guides, I am very, very excited about this one. The PMDG 777 is awesome. You also have things like PA announcements and full functionality with both passenger and freighter. Finally, the last piece of information coming out of FS2 Crew is that there is a full integration with Say Intentions AI ATC, as well as voice command recognition with inside of Beyond ATC. So again, your first officer can actually use a voice actor to respond to Beyond ATC as well, or integrate with Say Intentions. So FS2 Crew, guys, you guys can pick this up from their website. I believe, again, this is also $29.99. A very fantastic program. It adds a ton of immersion and gives you a bit of help in the cockpit when dealing with those pesky checklists on your busy points of flight. Finally, the big guy in the room, we have Parallel 42 has finally been able to officially announce that ChasePlane is going to be coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. The biggest thing about ChasePlane is, you guys, is it allows you to basically set up any camera position, including, finally, dare I say the words, flybys with inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator. But it does far more than that. It gives you a real physics system, meaning that the camera will move along with the environment and the aircraft, or you can remove that, as you guys saw a moment ago. You can create stationary cameras, flyby cameras, plane cameras that are on the ground, as well as many other custom cameras. It is a great way to create your own camera system with inside the sim. Anyone who is a cinematic creator, this is your dream come true. Or if you're someone who just enjoys flybys or having your own custom cameras. These cameras are not restricted to just outside the cockpit, as you guys can see here in the image below. You can create your own custom camera views, positions, and again, using those same physics inside the cockpit as well. It creates an incredibly much more immersive experience. We had something similar back in X-Plane action. I believe this is where this came from, and I believe it's Parallel 42 who did it. But it is something that we have been wanting for years. Unfortunately, Microsoft or Asobo, whoever you want to point out to, were unable to release the API. Well, it sounds like that has finally changed, and the API, in order to do so, has been released. This will also open up the doors for other modders and people who are interested in creating their own camera systems to be able to do so. So this is a really cool announcement on both fronts. But I cannot stress enough, if you guys have never used this before, I promise this is one that you want. Now, it is coming soon, as you guys saw in the trailer. We don't have any release date on it yet, but it will absolutely change the experience. This is a really, really cool tool. I'm very, very excited for this one. It's probably one of the neatest announcements we've been able to make in a very long time. To Parallel 42, you guys kick ass. Congratulations on this. I know you guys have been fighting for this for a very long time, and it's nice to see that it is finally in your hands. Well, as always, guys, that's going to wrap up today's news and updates for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Stay safe and healthy, and I shall see you in the next one.